Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm all checked in at the La Casa Hotel. Same room I had last time, just as clean as it was last time. This is about as smooth as it's ever been in regards to getting checked in, and having everything lined up in order. So I'm very thankful. I don't think it's ever been quite this smooth to where, everything just lines up timing-wise perfectly. I got out of there at noon as I was supposed to check out. Was able to get my deposit and all of that. Got in, everything checked out perfectly. Got in the ride. The ride was smooth, quiet ride over. Guy helped me with the bags. He was solid. As soon as I got over here, I was able to check in immediately into the room. I mean, immediately, paid the deposit for this place. Got checked in. So it was smooth, man. Got my hundreds workout done this morning. Yeah, man, so everything is smooth on that end. But my grandfather, from what I understand, he's not doing too good, man. They're trying to figure out exactly what's the latest. My uncle was trying to get a hold of the hospice care and people who were supposed to be helping him, but he couldn't reach him this morning. Essentially what the doctors are telling us is that he might have had some type of minor stroke, and it might be a urinary tract infection, I believe is what they said that might be as well. So it's been a bad week for my grandfather, and I don't know when they sent me the text. That's the thing. The text might have come last night, and I might have just got it this morning. I don't really know, but I saw it first thing this morning. So, been very thankful that people been praying. Karen, my friend Karen, been praying. I let her know what was going on. I told Bronze this morning because she knows my grandfather, so she always wants updates on how he's doing. And spoke with my mom's friend Pat as well, who always checks in on me. Said a prayer for him. So, while my life right now with what's going on went smooth today, I still have a lot to be concerned with in regards to his health and how my uncle's doing, dealing with it. And so that's the latest, man. It just is what it is, man. Father Time is relentless. That's what it really comes down to. My grandfather's in his 90s. And it just is what it is, man. Body is respecting him in that way, Just he's lived good, though. That's what I'm thankful for. He's lived good and he's living good. He's surrounded by good people, taking care of him, and he's accomplished a whole lot in his life as a military man and as a scholar. It's a lot. His name is plaqued in the college out in North Carolina, A&T, I believe is what it's called. He was one of the board members on there for years. I believe an investor as well. So he has his name, his picture plaqued up on the wall out there. He's extremely accomplished. My grandfather, I'm very blessed to be his grandson, his only grandson. And so, yeah, man, that's what's on my mind right now. I'm very thankful that my grandfather is still with us. But he's in a little bit of pain, from my understanding. It hasn't been a great week. So he's a tough dude, man. Used to be a drill sergeant, So he knows what's up, and he's got a lot of prayers and support coming his way. So that's really what it is, man. Got him on my mind, but it's a lot of things going on, of course, outside of my circumference in my world. I love to lend my voice to, so I'll continue to do that in his honor. But yeah, man. This morning, like I said, I feel great. I'm walking down San Fernando Road. Don't know this area that well. Last time I came down the other way and explored down that way. I think today I'll go a different route. Probably walk straight down San Fernando a little bit and just come back. Don't really know the area. Hope everything's smooth, but I really don't care. I'm not carrying anything on me that would otherwise need to be tucked away or nothing like that. So, but yeah, man. I think the news that I'm listening to right now, I'm paying a lot of attention to, is the head of United Healthcare being assassinated in New York. I don't know if it was a professional hit or not. The person had a silencer. Some people in the comment section said that it looked like a military stance. I don't know. I wouldn't know. But, it's one of those situations where I gave it a lot of thought. And, I read a lot of what everybody was saying. Essentially, just, insurance companies. I told y'all my situation with my mother in the insurance company. I don't know if it was United Healthcare or not, but they cut her off in an inexplicable way right before she was done with her chemo. Like, she only had one chemo session left before her cancer was gone. They said in the x-ray she only had sand left in it as a representation of the cancer. It looked like sand. That's how well the chemo had been working. And as she was approaching her final chemo session, something went awry with her insurance that I never really quite got clarity on, but they cut off her insurance for about 4 months. And as a result, the cancer got big and spread and eventually took her life. So for me, when I hear that this type of thing is happening, that's immediately where my mind goes. That's where my mind goes. I just think that insurance there's been a lot of controversy surrounding health insurance in this country. And when you consider individuals who've suffered what my mother suffered, it's not a whole lot of empathy provided to a guy like him, who was the CEO of a company that I'm sure has cut a lot of people off, made sure that a lot of people didn't survive because they couldn't pay or whatever, what have you. I don't know if I should think that way or if I should be thinking differently. I don't know if it wasn't a personal issue that ultimately caused what took place there with him. For all I know, it ain't got nothing to do with his profession. Maybe he just had some people unhappy with him, Who knows? A million reasons why people could lose their lives. I actually had friends who were assassinated. They weren't my friends, but people I went to school with, friend of friends, put it like that, who were assassinated just for money. Their mother had left them some money, and I actually knew their mother because she was a school police officer. Really nice to all of us, black lady, sweet queen, man. I knew her much better than I knew her sons. Her sons were real cool kids, athletes and stuff like that. But she was like the lady that meets you and greets you as you walk into the door and as you leave, making sure you were safe. And I never felt so empty, I guess you could say, for somebody that I didn't know that well, until when we got the news of what was going on with her. Essentially, she was given a week to live out of nowhere with brain cancer or something like that. She didn't know, some type of brain issue. And it was so empty when we got that news. Like, they told us right before she passed, like she got like a couple days, doctors told her. And so, like, I just remember the feeling of hearing that and understanding that, her sons were there, like they were at school, like having to receive that news. And the way the story goes is she did pass, and she had some money. She had some money, so she left her son some money. I don't know if she worked that job for like as a passion, or if it was a life insurance policy that she had taken out on herself that had accumulated a great deal of wealth. I don't know how that actually went, but she was a millionaire. It turns out nobody knew it. And so she left her sons enough money to take, a home and some cash, some real money. And some people, I don't know who it was. I think it was the people who were supposed to be taking care of her sons. I think they hired some hitmen to come in there and shoot them so that they could capitalize on the funds somehow. That's exactly what happened. And so, when I look back on stories like that, the Birdsong brothers, rest in peace to them, I just understand that when people get killed like this, you don't really know what causes it. 9 out of 10 times it has something to do with some money, though. But as I listen to the story about this guy, and I listen to the testimony of people who lost their health care and things like that, and I look at the overall sentiment of this guy being killed, most people were happy he's gone. They look at him as part of the 1% that ultimately had no remorse or no empathy upon the people who, didn't have a whole lot, who were relying upon his company to keep them alive, make sure they get their health care. They didn't have any empathy for this guy. How you doing? And that's a real thing, man. When you consider the reality of circumstances, well, like my mother's, it's like, man, I don't particularly have a gripe with that particular person for any reason, but in the representation of what happened to my mother, it makes me feel differently than I would if I heard something happen to random people. Like, I don't know if I should be sad for this guy. I don't know if this is the beginning of something, as it pertains to a shift in the tolerance for the behavior that we've seen from one percenters in a lot of cases, not having any empathy or having a heart for people as they suffer due to their bottom line intentions. I don't know that this isn't a shift. And I always preach to people, man, rule number one, don't be a dick. That's what I always say. Regardless of how much money you have or how frustrating your life is, try your best to represent yourself in a way that makes it so that if something were to occur, people actually feel something. Or at the very least, not celebrating what happened to you. Through your business practices and your bottom line, it may coerce you into being a D, or you have to take some losses. But maybe those losses are not losses at all when you consider what motivates somebody to do something like this to somebody. You know what I mean? If he would have known this would have happened, would he have go about what he was doing professionally the same way? If he thought he could prevent this from happening by being a bit more lenient with maybe policies that he was lobbying for or what have you, that would otherwise allow for certain things that people have having testimony about in regards to what happened to them and their families with their health care. If he knew it would save his life, would he care a little more to do that, or would it still be about the bottom line? And you take these bullets for the sake of the dollar? Like, that's the question. Assuming what happened to him had something to do with these. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sitting here celebrating that guy's death. Nor do I think that his passing vindicates or gives justice to, rather, what happened to my mom in any way. But it's definitely the first thing that came to mind when I saw what happened to him. It's definitely the first thing that came to my mind. But see, my mom's situation was a little weird because I don't think it had anything to do with her not being able to pay. She was paying. They cut her off on a mistake that was made allegedly, or circumstances that were greater than maybe just simply what we understood at the time. Maybe somebody had made an error of some sort that allowed for her to not be seen as eligible for the benefits that ultimately she had been paying for. I never got clarity. But the timing of it all looked mighty suspicious, that she would be on the last end of her situation, the final chemo session. And then at that point, they would decide that they didn't have her eligibility on file anymore. I had to look at that and say, is there something I don't know? Is there something I needed to know? Why was that so conveniently in place for her to ultimately die of something that she had basically been healed from? And she had already paid so much for in order to get that much chemo. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like they reimbursed the family for the chemo she had already taken due to her passing. She had already paid for certain chemo, and then when it was almost beat, she gets this information saying that she was no longer eligible and that they were cutting her off. You can only imagine how my mother felt hearing that news, knowing that she had a stage 4 situation going on. You know, at the time when I was going through that, I don't think I'd behold it the same way I did right now. When that was happening, I assumed that she would be able to get her chemo turned back on in time. I thought it was possible her chemo would get turned back on in time. But then as it played itself out, it was so much to absorb mentally that I don't think I really sat back and really thought about that as much as it was happening. It was there in my head, but I didn't really ponder it like I was able to years after. I don't know what people want me to think. when I tell them that this happened, I wonder what they think would be reasonable in regards to myself as her son, her only son. What's a rational thought when considering that circumstance, especially when you don't have all the facts? So when I hear CEO of a health insurance company that's been probably the leader, from what has been said, what I read, in cutting people off and people being no longer with us as a result of being cut off, his company is probably the leader in that. And having that testimony to share with you guys, I don't really know what to think. I don't really know what to think. Maybe it's not what you think I'm thinking. I'm not celebrating it. I just don't know if I should be, if I'm being completely honest with you. You know, I don't know what to think. And so that's really what it comes down to, man. I don't know what to think. I watched the footage a million times too. The genocide has changed my entire mentality as it pertains to watching stuff like that. It doesn't bother me at all. It's very unfortunate because just a year's time ago, seeing something like that would at least make me feel uncomfortable. Like, damn, this dude really died. Like, damn. And I saw like 4 babies dead this morning before I even seen the footage of what happened to him. It didn't bother me what happened to him, unfortunately enough. And maybe that's a flaw in my own brain, but I just sat there and watched it. It was just like watching something on GTA video game or something. Like, this genocide has desensitized me, man. I don't know if it would be that way if things were to happen in my face, because there's a definite difference between seeing stuff in your phone and seeing it in your face. But as it pertains to seeing people unalived, I don't know that I'm even capable of being traumatized. I seen a man in this genocide this morning carrying 2 different limbs and one in each arm, a leg and an arm, that had been, of course, removed from one of the martyrs in this genocide as they were coming out of rubble. This is all he had to show for those people. And that didn't even bother me. It didn't bother me. And so that's what I'm telling all of you. Hello, friend. Hello. And so that's what I'm telling all of y'all. At the end of the day, man, it just changes your DNA when you see certain things, man. You see stuff repeatedly every day, even if it's not in real life. In your phone, you see children, you see pieces of people, you see, you know, and then just the callousness of those who support it just the same, which is a different angle on situations like this. You don't get to see the murderers justify themselves and celebrate themselves. You know what I mean? This is a different thing with this genocide. You hear your government essentially telling you, you know, this is what we're going to continue to do, and chastising the people they've hurt as if what they've done to these people was justified at all. It's just like, it changed me, man. It changed me. I still have a heart for the end of this genocide. I really do. I want it to stop now. Whether I can feel someone's pain or be traumatized by their pain is irrelevant in regards to my desires to see it stop. It's absolutely irrelevant. But just the same, it's the fact that these images do not bother me at all anymore. You know, they bombed some tents, I think it was yesterday. They dropped white phosphorus, I believe it is. White phosphorus on people in Lebanon's homes. People who have been displaced, they put phosphorus over their homes so that they can't return. Like, this is the type of stuff that's going on in your world, man. That's what I'm trying to tell people. While we're enjoying our teams, basketball teams, and enjoying our interests and enjoying, our content, whatever it is that we enjoy in life, while we try to make it and survive our world, whatever is around us, we need to understand this is what's happening, man. That's why I have no problem talking about it on the same channel I talk about the Lakers. I won't bring light to it by labeling it. I don't, you know what I mean? It's not something I want people to just know me for necessarily. But if you happen to click on my therapy sessions, you find out this is what my therapy is about. It's not about me telling you about my childhood necessarily. I talked about all that in the first couple of episodes. It ain't been about that type of stuff too often. I'll tell you what's going on in my day. But what I'm really telling you is what's most important, which in a lot of cases has absolutely nothing to do with me. And that's what I want people to understand about BDF 44, man. I'm not really looking for applause or for somebody to put my name on a mural or somebody to, recognize me or nothing. I don't care about that. I'm straight, man. My life is going to be just fine one way or another because my faith has already aligned me with the understanding that my situation is what it is. It's set. I could do things to worsen my situation, but as long as I stay close to God, He'll give me every tool I need to get through my life. I'm cool, bro. But there's some people out there who don't have no path to peace, no path to safety, no path to humanity being pointed at them. And this is something that is systematically in place so that people in this area, in this world, over here in America, can be able to say they got the richest country in the world, run by the most powerful people in the world. They're standing on the backs of little boys and little girls, man. And they don't care what happens to them. They don't care what they can contribute to the world. They don't care about whether or not people see them for who they are or none of that. They don't care about their humanity, their dignity, or none of that. And we're supposed to be okay with it because we benefit from it, and I'm not wired like that. I've never been wired like that. And unfortunately enough, now I got to display that to everybody, that I'm not going to be okay with genocide. I'm not going to be okay with the unaliving of children. I'm not going to be okay with people being okay with it either. I'm not going to just sit back and be quiet while I have a voice. People follow me for one thing. You're going to hear about this thing too. And the more traction I get, the more you'll hear this conversation. Because not only do I care about these conversations, but I've been traumatized to the point of no return by the images of these circumstances, which is why I want people to understand. I am not a murderer. I'm not a killer. I'm not somebody who gets off on seeing blood, guts, and gore. I don't care to watch someone suffer. I don't get anything from that. I'm not wired that way. And yet, at this point, I'm not moved by the images of dead anything. Kids, men, women, I'm not moved by nothing because of this damn genocide, man. And I feel like there's a million people like me who are not wired to be okay with that, who are not wired to not have nightmares about this type of stuff. I don't even have nightmares about this type of stuff. It doesn't bother me. I can eat a sandwich while someone pulls a dead body out of burning rubble. Like, this is ridiculous what this genocide has done to the people they've done it to, and to the minds of those who had to witness it. Israel must burn. It must. That's not me calling for the deaths of individuals. This is calling for the end of a genocide, and that's the only path I see to it. It's the only path I see to it, and Israel ain't the only one. And we know that. Israel's not the only one. America is going along with this, and several other countries all over the world. Colonial countries that have their governments representing the interests of Israel, not representing the interests and the desires and the humanity of the people. Just like this country does. This country has stuff in place that'll take an old lady's insurance away right before her cancer treatments is complete. And they voting on this, saying that this is fine and all different types of stuff. You think that represents who I am as I represent America as a citizen? I don't want to have nothing to do with taking that woman's insurance away. My mother was that woman. Why would I want her insurance to be taken away? You understand what I'm saying? But in this country, for the interest of big business and the 1%ers, we go along with stuff that completely betrays our moral compass, and go along with people that completely desensitize all of us as they continue on their unholy mission to destroy a certain race of people for the uplifting of themselves or the preservation of themselves as they see it. And I think about what brought me into the circumstance I'm in right now, being a part of the AMC Apes. You know, I hadn't had a whole lot of time to think about that lately, although I'd done enough thinking about it leading up to this situation. I was standing against unfairness in the market, the stock market. That's what led to the downfall of my circumstances. Trying to hold on to shares that I couldn't afford in unwise ways, but at the end of the day, I was trying to take a stand against the evils of this world that controls so much. That's what I was doing. That's why I don't have an address right now. That's why I have my family taking care of my situation financially. It's because I blew all of my money and let go of all of my mental fortitude in regards to trying to hold on to that. Not just my shares, but the ideology that I can make a difference with the collection of other people who wanted the same thing. The game was rigged against us. Why? Because big business controlled the stock market, and big business was printing money for itself. And one of the things that we had conversations about back when I was in the thick of that was that the money, where was it going? When people rig money unlimited, they're not just putting it in their pocket. They're funding something. And what the hell were they funding? Well, now we've come to find out a freaking genocide. That the same people who were rigging the stock market own the companies that are sending money to Israel. BlackRock, all your favorite, Vanguard, your big boys. Your big boys. They're the ones that I believe that the evidence showed us were rigging the stock market. Getting unlimited funds from that, getting unlimited funds from all the companies that they own that ultimately we pay into systematically and culturally, rigging the government by paying for God knows what, and then in many different ways. They got so much of the financial ecosystem rigged to funnel money toward them that they control the leverage of just about every foundational wealth creator in the world. And where does the unlimited funds actually come from? Where does the big money really come from? From the stock market, the same thing that I was trying to fight against. That's where the money's really unlimited. That's where the leverage is really unlimited, because they're printing it from nothing. From absolutely nothing. And everybody who's in bed with these people, trying to do business with these people, trying to compete with these people in any way, need to understand that they have a money tree that grows from no work, nothing. And it's called the infinite duplication of investor money all over the world, not just in our country, but several countries. Europe, they're taking people's money and they're duplicating it out of itself. So you can fund any damn thing when that is what you're doing. There's nothing you can't do when that is what you're doing. They wonder why they have the money to buy up everything? It's because they have a money tree that comes from nothing. That prints money from money, for money, forever, if you allow it. This is why there needs to be a re-establishment of the intensity of the ape movement, because that's what's going to end a lot of the problems that we're seeing in this world. It's stopping that unlimited money tree and bringing performance back to the determination of whether or not these entities will actually be wealthy. Because as long as they can make money out of nothing, it doesn't matter if something is successful or failed. They're still going to be wealthy as they need to be to continue to control the world. They are a completely and utterly out of control entity that only has to answer to itself. The chosen ones have rigged the game, and we know it's them. It's been them for thousands of years. And their main goal was world domination. And their sacrifice was you. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. It brings me back full damn circle. What brought me here in the first place? Fighting the same damn people who are funding this genocide in the area where their money is infinite. In the crux of where all their real leverage actually is. The apes were on to something. We've been on to something. And we ain't gone nowhere. And we need more people to join the fold if we're ever going to stop these genocidal chosen ones. Because as long as they have infinite funds, they're always going to be able to put it in the pockets of those who are in control of everything. They're going to use their leverage to squeeze them and then use their infinite funds to entice them into going along with whatever their intentions are. And they are gods on earth so long as we allow them to continue to control the stock market. I truly believe that. The housing market, the stock market, but nothing more than the stock market. As long as they control the stock market, they're getting money from nothing. That's what people need to understand. Everything else is performance-based. If it doesn't work, if we boycott it, it goes to hell. But they have some money coming from somewhere at all times. And that's what we need to visibly understand. The stock market and the crypto market is rigged to high hell by these companies that can own everything else. It's a fail-safe for whether or not things work out in every other business they have. And I don't believe it for 1 second that God is done with that movement. There are people still holding these damn shares with the hope that someday it'll explode to put wealth into their pocket out of the pockets of those who are rigging the earth against itself. I ain't gave up any hope on that movement. I may have had to get rid of some of those shares because of my circumstances. I couldn't do it. They rigged the game for all of us who are down on my level, saying that we can only invest about $100. I wonder why that rule's in place. Is it because they got a whiff of what the hell we were doing and knew they had run a lot of people into the ground doing it? And this is how they were going to stomp us all the way out? By making us sell all the way out of our positions? I'm telling y'all right now, man. This is where they really have the world by the balls. It's not in the other things that they own. You can boycott them all day long, and they still got this money coming out of nothing forever. Printing 24/7. In the damn stock market, they printing it 24/7. Whether the market is rolling or not, that is being duplicated. Naked shares are being duplicated. And those shares represent every single coin they need for anything. And you wonder why they're getting all these high-tech bombs to drop on people's heads? I can guarantee you the funding is coming from that stock market. I can guarantee you. All these new high-tech weapons that disintegrate people and all different types of stuff that Israel's getting, that money ain't just coming from American government funds. It's coming from the stock market and every dollar that you invest in it. And the crypto market and every dollar you invest in it. And their insurance scams and all the other stuff that they own. I want people to understand, man. I want you to understand. The game is rigged against you. While you're going to work, while you're trying to make a way for yourself and trying to buy property, this, that, and the third, they own the entire world. And their intention is to do whatever they choose. And they just so happen to have the taste for baby's blood. They just so happen to have the taste for brown people blood. That's what they've been about. They want the Middle East. For whatever reason, they must have it. They believe what's in their books and they're going to go after it. You are goy to them. meaning you are beneath them. They're going to continue on their mission to try to fulfill the prophecies in their books that we would be their slaves, that we live for them, that they have every right to do whatever they choose to us. And this is what drives them. And I tell you right now, I may be considered a goy to their religion, but I actually have a relationship with God. I know what he thinks of me. I know what he thinks of me. They're listening to somebody thousands of years ago who likely was a psychopath and didn't even believe in God tell them that they were chosen to do things that God don't want them to do. So I want people to understand something. They can think of us as a fulfillment of their prophecy all they want. But what they got to understand is there's a reckoning coming. There is a reckoning coming for their mistakenness in regards to how they're moving about what it is they choose to believe in. That prophecy left something out. And that was the identification that they were phonies. That they were not what they said they were. And that they were never chosen for anything other than to be overcome by all of us. That's literally it. That the grave mistake of their people was actually believing the evil in those books. So I want people to understand this. God loves the goy, despite what they tell you. If that's what we're going to be, then that's what it is that you have to understand the Lord is with. He is with the goy. Those who are pushed aside, those who are born out of wedlock or whatever the case may be, God is with us. He ain't with them. That's the secret to their prophecy. That God he ain't with them. That they in fact work for his enemy. That their intentions is to align with his enemy. And that his enemy is going to betray them in the end. That's the truth of what's going on in their books. That's the truth in regards to their religion. That everything they've been about has all been for naught, because God don't know them and don't want them anywhere near his sons, his daughters, his children, his people. He don't want them near any of his people. Not only they're not supposed to be in control of the world, they're not supposed to be able to touch any of us. Take that for what it's worth. That's what I know God put in my heart to say in this camera today. They're not even supposed to be anywhere near us. If they were chosen for anything, it certainly wasn't what it is that they think. And the fulfillment of us becoming their slaves was not going to be something that we would go willingly into. That they would have to rig all of these different governments that would otherwise rope us up into circumstances that would force us to working for them for free, because it wasn't going to be the people moving along with it as they would ultimately have for it to be. Us knowing of what they are, and then from there moving in a way that aligns with that prophecy. That prophecy is a curse. It's a curse on humanity. And it will be humanity's undoing if we allow it to be. So I want people to understand. I know exactly who's rigging the land. I know exactly who's behind Vanguard and BlackRock and all these big ass companies that think they're God. I know exactly who's behind you. Even if they don't understand who they work for, I know who they work for. They work for the enemy. They work for the loser. They work for the one that dwells in hell forever. That's who they work for. That's who they call their God. That's where all their morals align. Which is why they're so damn backwards and upside down. I want each and every person to follow me who understands. If that's your faith, you better turn away from it. And if you're following the books of those people with the little hats, and you ain't following something that tells you to be kind to everyone, goy or otherwise, you're going the wrong way. I'm not against Jewish people. I don't understand your faith. I ain't followed it. But from the stuff that I've been hearing that comes from the Talmud, that is not good for anybody. Not good for them, not good for us. And they need to understand and believe that as they go forward. continuing to deteriorate their reputation in the world. If that stuff is betraying you, that prophecy is not to be fulfilled. It's wickedness. It's devilish. It causes suffering, and suffering is not something to want for anyone. Least of all individuals that are small, who haven't had a chance to live their lives yet. That you've all convinced yourself that this is something that should be done is disturbing, to be honest with you. But even more so, it's unfortunate, because it will represent you for the rest of eternity. We will align what you've done with who you are. Unfortunate enough for your kids who are yet to be born. And you have effectively placed curses upon each and every one of their skulls by engaging in this nonsense. That's what I got to say to all the chosen ones. You've been chosen for generational curses that are going to last long past your last. Believe that. And you can rig the world in 2024 and have it all sewed up all you want. When it goes to shit, that's when it starts. That's when it begins. I bet your book don't say that. It's because your book ain't real. So that's what I want people to understand, man. You can believe me or not, you're going to see it come through. I guarantee you, the words that I've said here are going to be more likely to be a prophecy than anything they got in them damn books telling them that they're going to control the earth and that we're going to be their slaves or none of that. I guarantee you. You're going to see a reckoning on their heads before you see a reckoning in regards to what it is that they're talking about in that fashion. They got things sewed up right now, but they're going down. They're going down. All the things that they've rigged against the world, it's being exposed. All the different things that they think of the people around them while they could pretend to be fair, it's being revealed. All the different things that they believe about themselves, those lies are being disproven. They're toying with forces well beyond their understanding, and they're following forces that are meant to lose. And the Lord put me on this earth to let them know that. It's one of the many things that he put me on this earth to tell them. This is the truth. You're going to fail. And you're going to suffer because of what the suffering you put others through, and that you celebrated and gave yourself passes for doing to people. You're going to suffer for that. PDL 44, I thank you all for watching.